Good afternoon. Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Daily Live. Sean Dyche has just given his press conference ahead of Everton's trip to Manchester City on Saturday. In what is a hugely tough game, the best of times. And the news that there's no Decore, Andre Gomez, Dan Juma in the squad. He was a little bit more cautious on Onana. Said he'll see how he goes. So maybe he will be back with the team. Maybe on the bench. Maybe back in the side. Who knows? The right decision to leave Decore for this one anyway? Or would you have done?
I don't know if he is being left for
Yeah. He's on the grass. He's not with them yet, is he? So, but what I mean was, would you have left Decore for this one anyway?
Yeah, I mean, there's another,
9 days after
this game till we play our next game.
Which
That's
is
a massively important game. So, yeah, I mean, we'd have an Onana back. Garner, both Garners. It still leaves us a little bit short, but if let's say Onana makes it to the bench, you've got that other player, and who knows, Onana might start. Onana might be the three of them, might. Onana, Disagana, Gay, James Garner, that might be the three in midfield, who knows? So, Decore come back when you're fit, and obviously you got to look at what happened last time as well. And there's no point rushing someone back if it means they're going to be out. I don't know if that did happen last time, but certainly one game and then back out injured for a month was not good.
It's not ideal, is it? So I'm going into a period where certainly games like Crystal Palace at home, the games Everton have got to win. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And obviously they've got their own injury buddies, haven't they? It looks like Elise and Eze may well be missing for the game at Everton and Gay as well. So Everton have got to take advantage. If that is the case, Everton have got to take advantage of that when they come to Goodison and beat them. And, you know, we have got to start winning our home games. It's as simple as that. I say it every week, but we've won 3 games.
Getting back to just winning games.
December the 16th, last time Everton won a Premier League game. So I know there's been a break in that and all that, but it doesn't make good reading, does it? So we have to start picking the points up now, and we obviously got the toughest game you can have in the season on Saturday. From then, we have to pick points up, but Saturday will all be about performance levels. Get in there, stay organised, don't concede early on, and then see if you can nick something. But it's a game that you look at and you do find it difficult to see where Everton can get anything from, don't you? Especially because they look like they've flicked the switch now and starting to win again.
Just about frustrating them, isn't it? How long you can frustrate them for. And if you get an opportunity, you have to take it. And that's the thing, isn't it? That's it, isn't it? It's just one of those games. It's just you never want to write these games off, and nor should we. We looked at last season and feared it and got a 1-1 draw out of it. We just caught them on the right day and defended brilliantly and got a little bit of luck and got a good goal, and everyone will be writing us off. Just don't concede early. And just frustrate them, as I said, for as long as you possibly can, and just make it maybe almost too comfortable for them at times. I think that's when City... But that's when City actually... I think that is the difference between like City in the first half of the season and City in the second half of the season. The first half, they are just a different animal. But in the first half of the season, you can almost lull them into a false sense. And if we can sort of try and get them into that, because we know we're not going to go there and like, you know, attack them. We're gonna have them, but we will have opportunities though. That's the thing. We will have opportunities, but it will be massively, massively difficult.
Yeah, they're just too good, and we're in a position where we are anything but too good. So. And we're going there without our full-strength squad and all of the other things that make it even more difficult. Yeah. And I know people don't like it when you go, well, it's one of them games that you almost write off. I get it, no one likes that, but you have to... Even if Everton were a team going for the title, you'd be looking at this one going, this is so difficult, this game, because they're the best in the world.
That's it. That's the difference, isn't it now?
It's as simple as that. So we have to just do what we can do. Stay in the game. Don't get battered. Goal difference could be huge. And see what happens. And you never know. You stay in a game long enough. Who knows? We proved it last year. Damari Gray pulled the worldie out of nowhere and we end up getting a point. So it is about just keeping it nice and compact and see what happens. And if we do that, then yeah, we'll see.
Roll on 3 o'clock on Saturday. That's what I say.
Roll on. Sheffield United getting a shock win at Luton.
Maybe.
A draw would do. Roll on Newcastle, roll on Forest over. And Wolves continuing their good form and beating Brentford. We'll see, won't we?
I think we might have something come. Is that's just come in? Hang on.
Riveting.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, we haven't. Sorry. I thought we just got I thought we just got something about. Sorry. I thought we just got the decision. What we somewhere before with Masters.
Oh, for the DCM
sorry.
thing, but
Sorry, no, it wasn't that.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was.
All right.
Someone.
David Gandish says, morning, gents. Probably on his way into work in Florida. Says, just doing the maths, our form is averaging 1.26 points per game. If we kept that rate up for the next 15 games, that'd give us 19 more points, putting us on 38 points. That's with the 10 points deduction as well. 38 points will be more than enough to stay up. Staying optimistic. Yeah, quite possibly. Quite possibly. It's what we've got to do. I still expect Luton to have another lull. I think they're in a golden moment for them. I don't think they're, in my opinion, I don't think they're good enough to keep that going. But it's whether everyone else can take advantage, including us. Are Everton going to have a golden patch again? We need one. Will Forest hit form, or will Palace go on a run, or Brentford? Who knows? All we can do is keep chipping away, keep adding points on, and then the outcome of the appeal might see Everton with some points back. There seems to be, I don't know where it's come from, but there seems to be a consensus, even amongst some journalists, that Everton will get points back. How many that is, we don't know. If they followed the Sheffield Wednesday model, which is kind of what they applied, then Everton would get 50% of the points back, like Sheffield did, which would put Everton on 24 points, puts them above Forest, Brentford, level with Palace, Luton, above Luton. And we take our chances from there, don't we? But one thing's for sure, we've got to find form. It won't matter how many we get back if we don't start winning games of football at Goodison, because we'll go down because other teams are winning the odd game and we're not. So, and that's been for me the key to all of this in the first place. Our home form's dreadful. Yeah, it's just absolutely dreadful. Had we beaten the 3 games, had we beaten Luton, Wolves and Fulham like we should have done at Goodison in the first part of the season, we'd be well clear of all this, even with the 10 points. So, well, not well clear, but we'd be in a much healthier position. So we have to turn that home form. We have to start winning them games. And when you look at Sheffield United at home, Forest at home, Brentford at home, Palace at home, West Ham at home, teams like this, Burnley at home, you have to look and go, you know what, we can get ourselves out of trouble here by winning them, but it's easier said than done, isn't it?
Of course.
Chris says, afternoon fellas, what's the update on next season's kit manufacturers? Are we moving to Castore?
Yeah. I think we pretty much are, yeah. I don't think they're going to announce anything yet because they want you to go and buy all that gear in the shop. So basically, maybe when they've got rid of quite a lot of it, then maybe they'll announce something. But yeah,
there's other. I mean, right now, there's other things going on, isn't it? That is more important than who's making our kit, really. And that's in people's minds, really. I think if Everton still had the 10 points and therefore were more settled mid-tablish, then those things would probably come more into the conversation. But just right now, there's a lot of other stuff going on, isn't it? Nick Porter says, great content, guys. Well, thank you very much, Nick. VAR theory. I think the refs' authorities are deliberately incompetent in using it in order to frustrate the fans to a point where there will eventually be calls to scrap it. Why, though? Because they don't want it.
But they do want it.
No, that's what I'm asking Nick. Is that your theory? See, yeah. Wanderlust says that he thinks Everton the players will do what they can. Whether or not that's good enough to get them a point or anything, we'll wait and see. Yeah,
that's the top and bottom of it, isn't it? You go to Manchester City, you can play your best and you can still be beaten quite convincingly. That's just very much where we are as a club. That's why you have to, because you do see, obviously we see lots because we see the comments and stuff, and there's this like, you will get an element of people, why have you written this game off or blah blah blah, which we haven't. But the whole thing about it is that we talk about it every day, the haves and the have-nots. You can go to Manchester City and play really well and still concede 3 goals.
Gosh.
Burnley went there last week and did all right, and maybe should have scored more goals, but they ended up getting beat 3-1. They basically packed it in the first half.
They should have conceded about 10.
Well, that's it though, isn't it? And that's it. You always see your side of it and go, we did really well there and could have got a couple more, but you don't see the fact that maybe you should have conceded a few. But we could go to City and play really well on Saturday and still lose the game. And that's where football is right now. Certainly for a lot of clubs, not just Everton, but a lot of clubs, that's an issue. So go and play well. And whatever the result is the result. Leave like we did when we were at Tottenham Hotspur. Leave with your head held high. Whatever happens. They've got quality players.
All over the place.
Yeah, all over the place and on the bench.
See, isn't it? There'll be a time, hopefully, in the future where we can look at it and go, you know what? We can cause these loads of problems. That'd be brilliant. That isn't right now. But yeah, hopefully, we'll have a right good go at it. I think the players will, and we'll see what's what. And if we're not good enough, which a lot of people will say they're not, whatever follows, doesn't it?
Yeah. I thought what Dyche said about him being suspended was quite interesting. He got booked for three decisions that he said they were wrong. I thought that was interesting. And I know he's not one maybe after the game to come out and say, he does say things. He's never doesn't always say them in an angry manner, which means that some of it does get missed. But I think the fact that he did say all 3 decisions were wrong and have been punished for them, how can that be acceptable? How can that be acceptable? Even last week he said about the Beto foul, which I did think was a foul. I thought, I don't see how you're allowed to step across someone with your elbow on the edge of the box. And he was absolutely right. And again, that's where refereeing needs to be sorted out. This idea of you're not allowed to say things because, basically, and this happens quite a lot, you are punished for proving or showing that what you said, that the referee is wrong. There's a lot of that. It's one of the actual... I don't mind. People make mistakes. It's the fact that the referees hate to be shown up. They hate people showing that they've made bad decisions. I've said this loads of times. If you stick a video of a referee making a bad decision on Twitter, it'll be taken down far quicker than a goal put up on there for copyright purposes. They hate it. And when a manager shines a spotlight on it, they can't wait to punish them. And it's completely wrong. Completely wrong. If you want transparency in the game, then you have to allow managers to go and have their say without it being disrespectful, of course. It's completely wrong.
No, I agree. I've just been sent something. Yasin Patel has discussed Everton's appeal and whether the punishment is just and fair. And just one bit of it This is what it says. The Commission's...
that's the one I got sent.
The Commission's decision failed both the subjective and objective tests concerning Article 6 ECHR. Everton was seemingly denied a fair trial, raising questions about fairness, transparency and integrity of the Premier League's regulatory process. This case underscores the importance of ensuring procedural fairness and adherence to human rights principles in the context of sports governance, and the events of 2024 may prove pivotal in determining the league's commitment to upholding integrity and ensuring equitable treatment for all member clubs. Very interesting. Very interesting. And, that court chambers that's been written in football sports law. So interesting that kind of opinion is that if the Premier League failed and breached their own, a sports law, so I wonder what happens with that. Obviously Everton's KC will have known this and will have took that into the appeal as well, but that needs to be bounced everywhere as well. If you want to read that particular bit, it's at CHCT Chambers, CHAMBERS, and that's on Twitter. Go and have a look at that. There's a big piece there for you to pore over, but it's certainly seen that the Commission's decision failed both the subjective and objective tests concerning Article 6 ECHR. Very interesting as we await the outcome of that. Everton, if that's the case, Everton should be demand and tempt all points back. All points back. We'll see. Trilos says, just throw out a completely unseen formation so they can't predict us, and throw Keane up front and play Park the Bus.
I'd think about that.
Just confuse everybody. SR says the time taken to accept 777 is starting to take the piss. Well, it absolutely is. Make a decision one way or the other.
As I said, I don't think they can make a decision. I don't think you can stop it. You can stop somebody taking over a football club. I don't think there's instance.
Well, what about the fit and proper persons then?
It's up to them to prove it. I don't think there's a. I'm sure I might be wrong on this, but I do think they'll just. It's almost like you have to punch yourself that out. Almost, it's like it's up to the people buying the football club to prove it, and they have literally as much time as they need to do it, and. The decision should be looked at it of almost like, well, what more do they need rather than a time limit? I don't think there's ever a time limit on these things on buying football clubs. It's a case of if you're buying the club, you're buying the club. But we can't tell you to go away. We can't say you're not buying the club. We look at the Newcastle thing. It took 3 years.
Yeah, but that was because of a specific thing.
But it literally took.
It was binned out. They were binned off.
But they weren't told they couldn't buy the club. They just had to prove they could buy the club, and in the end, they got the nod. So it's I don't think there's a time element in this.
But they've been asked by a committee, a political committee, how long it's going to take, and he said a few weeks. So he's put that out there.
I personally think that's on 777 to prove they can buy it.
I don't know. I mean, that's fine. People have asked. It's John Blaine would say this is that they have to give you an opinion on whether they think you're fit and proper or not. Premier League haven't done that. 777 have passed the FCA thing very early on, which proves they've got the money. So what's holding it back then?
Well, 777 clearly haven't given them all the documents.
Well, they claim they have. So you got one side.
An impasse then.
Well, that's it. That's where we are, haven't we? If you got one side saying they've got everything, and the other side's going, oh well. Then that then does prove to be vindictive. And
see, I don't go that far with that.
Well, I
think the other stuff
is mine. I think it's scandalous now.
I just think 777 haven't proved.
No,
and it's not up to the Premier League to tell them to say that they can't buy it. I just think they haven't. It's not a transparent thing. If 777 can't prove it, then they can't prove it.
But if they have proved it though?
Well, if they have,
What if they have?
Then they don't own the football club.
Well, no. If someone's being vindictive, they wouldn't.
I think they would.
You can't look at it. I know your view on it. I know your and you, the people you listen to. It's mad. No, I know, and that's why you buy. If this was a Qatari consortium, you would be fuming.
No, but all the evidence. I wouldn't be. The evidence is there to suggest 777 aren't good owners, right? So for me, they've got to prove.
But what if they've proved it, though? That's what I'm saying.
What if the Premier League are actually doing us a favour? That's what.
Then get rid of them.
But you can't.
No, you can't.
You can't. That's the point.
Right, go and read. Right? Do you see what they say? They've turned down hundreds of people.
And those people have gone away. That's the point.
Right, so if you've turned them down.
Yeah, it's up to them. They turned the Newcastle people down. But you can't tell a football club that they can't be bought. Look, it's happening at Man United.
So now. Why are they right? So why are they then? Why
because
is this?
It's not an infinite thing, is it? It's like anything. You could go to a bank and ask for a loan, and they could say to you, right, you haven't fulfilled what we need you to fulfill, and you go, sound, I'll come back. And actually, the next time you go, you can, or you go for a mortgage, and you might apply for a mortgage with the wrong form, or you might fill something in wrong, and you can go back. To me, that this is on 777 to prove, but I don't think you ever get told you can't buy this football club. You can say this time you haven't got enough time this time. 777 have to prove it, and if they haven't proved it so far, if they've been told the reasons, then they have to fulfill that. But they don't go away. They can come back.
What? Why didn't? Okay, if that was okay, that's fine. I accept what you're saying there, right? But if they didn't have to accept these, or there's no timescale for it, why didn't Richard Masters just say there's no timescale? It'll take as long as it does.
He clearly wasn't prepared, was he?
No, but he didn't have to say a few weeks, did he?
But
he could have said, well,
he just gave an answer, didn't he? Let's be honest, he just gave an answer. He wasn't prepared for the question, and he just gave the answer. Because simply, if you're in a thing and you're talking about one thing, and someone says to you, like, I don't like the man, but if someone just dropped the question on me and I didn't really know the answer, I'd just go for it in a few weeks. Because he doesn't have to justify that, does he? He doesn't have to justify that answer. That is just a passing question that he clearly wasn't prepared for. This is a situation where Everton 777 and the Premier League need to get in the room and find out what is really going on. And maybe that needs to be released to the press so we know where we are. But right now, as I said, Manchester United hasn't even passed, and we're talking about them building new stadium.
But they can't pass it until Everton have been dealt with. That's what's being put out there, because there's a list. Yeah. There's a.
But again, is that real? Because is there just two fellas who stamp things?
As Celtic Vape says, what if 777 have given all the relevant docs and the league is stalling? Well, quite clearly they are. I don't buy for a second they haven't given them it. I don't buy for 1 second. There isn't transparency though.
There's a transparency situation here where in terms of like there's a transparency situation of ownership and what is needed. And I do think if that was the case, I think we'd know. It'd be out in the press. People would be making it known to certain people in the press that Everton or 777 have fulfilled every requirement.
But that has been up there quite a few times.
No, but that's 777 briefing, isn't it? Saying no, but I'm saying that's what it is. That's where it's come from. It comes from 777. Well, let's see it then. If that's the case, we're talking about our football club. We're talking about a situation of the people. I don't see it as simple as just allowing someone to come in. If there's safeguards there, let's have it out there then. Let's see the transparency. I hope it is stringent, and I hope they are asking for all the right things, because otherwise, you're left in a situation where people are coming into clubs and don't have. That's what we've had before, and let's make sure we do get it right. But if this is the situation, then one of them does need to breach and come out and say why. The football club needs to say why and relate it to the fans of the football club, because it is just dragging on and it is just very frustrating. But surely from a legal point of view, if 777 have provided all the documentation, then there will be a legal situation where they can go, this is not right. We need to press forward in a different way now because you are stopping us. If that's the case, let's do that. Let's do that.
I just want the decision because to me it just smells weird that they can just do whatever. That to me is not a process that should be allowed for us just to go, we'll just do whatever. We'll take as long as it takes. That calm, where there's the lifeblood of a football club is dependent on it. I don't see how it can't be anything but vindictive, personally, that you just allow this thing to bob along and go, well, there'll be a decision.
What if they truly haven't, though?
Then bin them. They can bin them.
You can't.
I've just asked someone legally, can they? And they can't.
You can tell them to go away, I think. And
put it out there, say they failed. They failed the thing. And therefore, the pressure would be on the Sherry.
I think if you're saying you're failed, I think that goes into a lot of... That might open a lot of legal stuff.
But then if there was no way to not be given thing, then all of these owners would be... It's been said we've got files of people who've been binned.
I know, but I don't remember them ever telling telling Newcastle United. I think they were like, these are the reasons why you can't take over now. But they never said you can never own their football club ever again. When the Saudis got it sorted, they were allowed to take over. It's almost like an endless process. It's up to the football club, 777 to prove it. 777 have got a notorious history of being very late with their documentation, and maybe that's the case of it now. But there has to be an impasse, of course. There has to be an impasse. But it's what that is. It's where that comes from.
Sniffer, who's a Newcastle fan, says once Piff gave beIN Sports $1 billion in compensation, 24 hours later it went through.
Exactly. And that was always
give the British government.
And that was always the thing, wasn't it? It was always about the Premier. They were pirating the Premier League, so the Premier League were never going to allow them to come in and be owners. The minute that was sorted, the minute they knew that was the thing that was going to sort it out, that was pushed through, and that's obviously that's a completely different case. But that did drag on for a very long time, didn't it? Every 3 or 4 months, when people thought it'd go away, it'd rear its head again. As I said, the Manchester United situation is dragging on. And ours is massively dragging on. We were told 12 weeks and it's not here. Now, should we know why? Yes, we should. Of course we should. Maybe the problem with this common selecting, it wasn't Everton-centric, was it? It wasn't Everton versus the Premier League. So therefore, if it was Everton versus the Premier League, we could have had a situation where where those people were in a situation to ask those questions. But I don't think those questions were relevant, though. I still don't think that question was actually relevant for the common situation. I think it was almost like a throwaway line of, like, when are you saw an Everton's...
Well, it's because people have asked, hasn't it? People want to know because people do accept that the football club is on rocky ground at the moment. And if you've got someone who can, I've said this before, the Premier League and all of these PSR rules and all of this is allegedly there to protect the clubs so that they don't go out of business. But the Premier League are literally doing the opposite to Everton.
Yeah, I agree.
They're putting the Premier League status away from the pitch in jeopardy because of nonsense rules. And as well as that, they're now stopping us getting owners in who want to invest and take the club forward. Now, if those owners they don't think those owners are fitting proper. I mean, the clue's in the bleeding name. Bin them. Say you failed, end the story. You don't pass our rules. It doesn't matter whether it's for a reason. Now, does that stop you applying again in 12 months? No. It doesn't, because you might be in a better place. Right now, you do not pass our fit and proper rule test to take over, because we are protecting the supporters of Everton Football Club. Then that way, it's up to Farhad Moshiri and 777 to come up with the thing. Sophie's asking, if it doesn't go through, does that mean it's administration? Well, the owner apparently has said, the current owner has said that he will fund it. If it doesn't, he'll take it back over, as in terms of keeping it going, presumably while he looks for the next person to buy it. And this again takes me back to when people go, well, there'll be others just waiting. There isn't. There isn't others just waiting. Because now will be the time while there's all this uncertainty to take it. And they're not. They're all in the shadows, allegedly, all waiting, loads of countries, states with billions of pounds ready to jump, but they won't do it. Because 777 have already... That's nonsense, utter nonsense. Like believing we've got a 40-goal season striker playing in our under-18s that can score in the Premier. It's nonsense. It's fantasy that people like to make up online. Because if it's real, they'd be out there, wouldn't they? So I don't know, Soph, whether it's administration if this falls through. Farhad Moshiri, it would be crazy of Farhad Moshiri to let it go into administration, because then he would lose hundreds of millions. It'd be certain relegation, obviously, because there'd be 9 points there, and also all of your players get sold. And if someone comes into an administrator and goes, "We'll give you 20 million for Jarrod Branthwaite," we have to go, "Yeah, go ahead." The administrator, in fact, Everton don't get a say. The administrator just goes, "Yeah, off you pop. 20 million, that's back in," and they pay everybody else. The football club would be decimated. So don't let anyone on X tell you that administration's great. It's a great way to go. It'll help us in the long term. It won't. It'll destroy the football club. And Farhad Moshiri surely can't be that stupid that he would allow it to go into administration. Because apparently all he has to do is go online and ask a few of these people who know that there's countries ready to buy us and all these investors. Go and have a word with one of them. I'm sure they can set them up and have a deal done like that with the hundreds of millions that they want to pour into the team. But they just don't want to come in at the moment just because it might be 10 million more than they want to pay. Weird. But for me, the Premier League if they genuinely, allegedly care about football clubs, they have to make the decision in the next week and go yes or no. If they can see stuff that is really worrying from 777, bin them. Say, put it out. And I mean, they love leaking stuff. They absolutely thrive on leaking stuff. So leak it to your journalists then, your client journalists, and go, 777 are going to get, it's looking bad for them. You can do it that way. Sources have told us they're not, and then the pressure's on them then, isn't it? Just leaving it in tray somewhere to be sorted out when you've done the polishing and you've fed the goldfish whatever it's costing a week to feed them there. It is not a way that you are protecting a football club or football fans, to me. And it is looking vindictive now, looking like you're going after us on every single level. Add into that the penalty, not getting a penalty, add into that VAR decisions. You could put your tinfoil hat on and go, it's a whole conspiracy to send Everton down because they're pissed off because we bollocked the shit out of them over the Sky 6 and all that. We'll see. Start dealing with the stuff right now. If they're no good, bin them. If you can't find like VAR, if you can't find the reason to bin them, pass them, and we move forward. But right now, Everton are just hanging while some puppeteer plays with it. That's just my opinion. I know yours is very different. You think that they haven't got the stuff.
I think it's
That's
on.
fine.
I think it's on 777 to prove it,
No,
and they haven't
fine.
proved it.
That's
so
fine.
why aren't we putting blame on them?
James Graham, yes. Other buyers could seek to buy us right now. Other buyers could come out and go, here I am with my silver briefcase, but there isn't any. If no one's there, but the head above the parapet, then there's nobody there that wants to buy Everton. That's how I read it. Other people, it is mad when you speak to some people, these fantasists who think they're just lurking. It's just not really how football business works. Stuart says the Premier League must be investigated with its so-called Super 6. I won't use your phrase, but yeah, the Sly 6. Absolutely, and this is what the independent regulator, this is why it's absolutely terrifying them, because they won't be able to do what they want, which is what they've been doing. James says, why would you buy Everton with close to £1 billion of debt? But Everton haven't got £1 billion of debt, have they? Because the stadium becomes an asset. So, where are we? Onana's back in training, says the Blues. Yeah, he is. Mm-hmm. Tryler says, if we agree to stop booing the Premier League anthem and the refs, will they throw us a bone? Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe because we're booing the anthem, they're just going, right, We're not giving these. We're not saying yes or no to these. We're just going to keep putting it at the bottom of the pile. Maybe they're pissed off. Alex says, what's your thoughts on people basing their opinions on false information? I had to correct a fella I know earlier today who's usually well informed about how our stadium is being funded. He was on about Ratcliffe wanting the government to fund the redevelopment of Old Trafford and said the local council are funding Everton Stadium. Yeah. It's a worry to see how people can so easily believe utter bollocks. It creates damaging narratives about different things. Happens in politics all of the time too. A girl I know who's an NHS nurse believed when someone told her that Jeremy Corbyn wanted to get rid of the military, so she voted Tory at the last election because her fella was in the forces.
Yeah. There's loads of that.
That's how easy it is.
Basically how Brexit happened, isn't it? They told loads of scared people one thing, and they all let it up because it's whoever shouts loudest now, isn't it? We see it all the time in politics, and we're seeing it in a lot of other things, and there's a lot of misinformation out. You know, you go on Facebook, Jesus Christ, people who should know better don't know better. You do think people would know better. The worst thing that ever happened to this country was people over 60 getting Facebook.
I think it's social media. It's the worst thing that ever happened.
But that's what I'm saying. No, it's people who don't understand things just buying in because they're so gullible. And you see it with the stadium. There's still a lie being perpetrated that, you know, the council.
If the council bought it, we'd be in a hell of. We should have took that bleeding loan from the council.
But even that wasn't real, though. Even that was just Joe Anderson saying things. It's just nonsense, and people will believe anything they see. If they see, as I said, I've seen it myself. Seen stuff this week. Man United, Tottenham fans saying your stadium's being paid for. It's like it's just not true. Things take time. They don't. There's not the way media works now is just wrap things up in lies. We see it all the time. We see lies put out there to hide the truths or stories created that to hide other things. It's and what can you do? What can you do? You can't get to the bottom of anything nowadays because everything is shrouded in you know.
You sure it with the reason why people are putting out we failed PSR because of all the plays we've bought, 700 million you've spent in the last 3 years and all this. It's like, just go and do base. Just go and quickly put a little thing in. Basic. Take you 2 seconds. You'll see Everton don't spend any money on players. No, because they said you've spent this. It's just bollocks. It's utter bollocks. Whenever they quote how much has been spent since Mashiri come in, they never ever quote how much is gone. Yeah. How much we brought back in. It's never. And if they did, they'd see that just basic sums tell you Everton are third bottom in the net spend. Basic sums tell you, all of a sudden, Everton are failing PSR. I wonder why. Oh, yeah, it's because of that big fucking thing coming out the ground there. That's a football stadium that costs a lot of money that nobody else paid for bar us.
People aren't willing to give something a second that they see or whatever, the amount of things you see. I've seen it with all kinds of people believe anything now, absolutely anything, because
the earth is flat,
someone says something and they like Elon Musk is the biggest fucking weapon on earth, and he started to basically buy into conspiracy theories, and he's like, well, he's a billionaire, he's done brilliantly, it must be something he says, and they start perpetrating lies. Well, why are they perpetrating lies? Because someone like him knows that corporations are becoming bigger than governments. So if you make the world seem like a very fragile place and it's run by governments, then maybe it shouldn't be run by governments and all these things. That's why it's like, it's just, you can't believe anything anymore, can you? You can't believe barely anything you hear or see anymore. And it is quite worrying that people just don't stop for 2 minutes and go, we've lost the ability to have like our own bullshit registers, haven't we?
Critical thinking.
People used to be called out for being like, people used to be called out for some of the things they said. They don't now. They get embraced, and it's crazy. Oh, you might have a point there. Like, I seen one yesterday. One of the dickhead ex-footballers who've bought into all the COVID stuff, saying, "Oh, you never used to hear about members of the royal family getting cancer, did you?" and all this, and it was like, you're joking. I didn't literally the Queen's dad die of cancer. Like, it's like,
just wasn't reported.
It just wasn't reported. Like, it's like people have took the fucking literally took the blue pill, haven't they now? And we live in a world where anything is anything, and you can say anything. And look at like people like Joey Barton, people like him, Matt Letizia, saying all these outlandish things, and yet people buy into it. It's crazy. If you stop for 5 seconds, people want to buy into conspiracies. I understand, because it makes things make sense to them at times. But like, yeah, stuff like that. It's like, take a second though. There'd be records if the council or the government were paying for our stadium, and if they were, as just said there, we'd be a lot better off, wouldn't we? Be a hell of a lot better off.
Wouldn't have failed FFP or PSR or the other nonsense, as you want to call it.
In the paperwork, wouldn't it? Everton have got a loan with the government or the council or something.
Crazy. Steve P. There's a gone. Baz, I agree with you, and it worries me that there isn't people lined up to buy it. I genuinely believe if any other club in the Prem got put up for sale, there'd be suitors. Yeah, well, I think is it the way Mashiri does business? Is it who he tries to target? Is it the fact he should have made a song and dance about it being up for sale, and he didn't? That's what's a bit weird, but we'll see. Nashi FC says, have you heard Jim White and Jordan having a go at Andy Burnham for crying about the media blackout? Yeah, but they're not real, are they? They're just, you know what they're like, ignore them. Sophie says, oh, that the same Simon Jordan that ran Palace to the brink of liquidation. Yeah, I think it is. To be fair, I some of the things he says are dead interesting. I think he's got. I think the problem with Simon Jordan now is he's been encouraged to just start turning into like when it was Durham and Goff. That's what they've turned into now. Them two. One says one and he'll say the opposite, and then next week he'll say something and they'll say the opposite. It's just a formula, which is, you know, that's what they do. That's what they do, don't they? But hey ho. Dance on the super chat. Thank you very much, Dance1211. Have you seen all the shit about the fight everyone on Twitter says happened at the new stadium?
Yeah. And you can see sand dunes behind it. See, that's another thing. It's just like people will believe anything.
I hadn't even seen this.
People fighting it looks like a stadium build. People like seeing what's happened down at Bramley Moor and stuff, and it's just like people buy into it. It's like, but this is why, again, we speak about Everton a lot of the time being better with, you know.
Joe says there's actually people who live amongst us who think that fight at the construction site in Dubai was Bramley Moor.
Yeah. Well, they do, because they want to believe it, and therefore, and people go, "I've seen this," and then it gets, as I said, it's like there'll be people out there who use it as a joke and will be like wanting people, but there'll be people you go on like Facebook. People believe anything on Facebook, like literally.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Like that's how all these rumors start, and people, you know, there's some of the stuff I in a few groups just because I've joined them to publicise stuff we've done, and it's like I heard this or it's like, what's happened with this? I thought we were getting this happen today, or I thought the points deduction was coming, another one was coming today, and it's like, it's just an echo chamber of people who just don't have a clue, talking amongst themselves all the time, and it just they talk themselves into nonsense. It's why we do have conspiracy theories about COVID. It's why we have conspiracy theories about Jeremy Corbyn or whoever. It's all the same nonsense. People just, that's how the world is where it is, because someone worked out that if you targeted the fears of people through algorithms on things like Facebook, that's literally why the world is the way it is, because of that. And that's why we're in such a mess where their fears are preyed upon every single day. You know, we often laugh about Mathew, but the damage he's done by the stories he runs is that leads people. It destabilises. Yeah. Destabilises football clubs. It destabilises everything. because people buy into some of the stuff he says. But as I've said this loads of times, the club should have someone fighting it. We had one last week. People are walking off site at Bramley Moor. You know, blah, blah, blah. There was a simple explanation of that we had to put across. I've seen people this week going, why is there no cranes at Bramley Moor? Where's all the cranes going? It's like, because they don't need cranes.
No.
They've done it all. There's people on the roof. And when material needs to go up, they'll crane it up. But they don't need a crane, especially when it's windy. They've got a special crane to put the panel on the outside, but they don't need big cranes anymore. Simple explanations. Instead of going, why haven't they got cranes? It's a building site. They must need cranes. Like, no, they don't need cranes. It's like,
go and look at the stadium.
Yeah, but
it's literally.
This is the thing. People buy into these things all the time. And I tell you what, it shouldn't be for the manager, and it certainly shouldn't be for us to answer these questions a lot of the time. The club should have people who are just like sitting on social media, like Alan Mice used to do, going, lads, come on, really? Do you really believe that thing? Do you really? Because that
we don't have a spokesperson.
Now and again, you just need an adult to go, come on. Think about it. Really. The council, the government. Come on. Yes, we need a government approval. Yes, the council have give money for the surrounding area. It's like this Man United thing. About the council, the government giving them money, right? It feeds into it. Now, what Man United might be saying is, we want to build a world-class stadium, but we need infrastructure built, and that's going to be the council or the government, right? So that's what they might be asking for. I've seen people complain about the money Everton have been given to do the restoration of the ground and money for the roads, and I've said, they're not Evertonians, and I've said to them, yeah, but isn't that for the betterment of the city, that the roads around the area and Great Howard Street are good to getting into the game and out of the game? Go to Anfield on a match day and it takes you an hour. That's why people are halfway down Queen's Drive when there's still 5 minutes to go. You know, isn't it for the betterment of it? Isn't that supposed to be what the club brings something? They invest in an area, they put a ground there that's going to make jobs. The least they expect is, well, the council will sort the roads out, so there's not potholes or whatever, or there's, you know, in America they go a step further and they ask the local city to build them the stadium and say, you build us the stadium and we'll bring jobs, money, everything that comes with it. But in this, you know, so there is a lot that's taken. How the city council have given Everton 15 million to do this and to build the stadium. No, they haven't, because they actually offered Everton more money and Everton said no. Everton were like, no, we don't want that. We'll the money for the roads, yeah, and the money to restore the buildings, absolutely. But you know, it all gets muddied up in headlines, and people very rarely go past the headlines or past the first paragraph. Yeah. And that's where now we are. Yeah.
Sniffer on the super chat, nice one, mate. And Newcastle fans says, God bless, fellas. Thanks for all the great content. Cheers, mate. Here, come. Yeah. Thomas Thompson says 150 employees in the Everton media team and no clarification. I think it's because there's no spokesperson. I think is a big issue for Everton, but at the moment, people who make that decision to speak, there's no one there to go, yeah, you're going to be our spokesman, because there's no one in post permanently, is there? Everyone, certainly on a board level, our CEO's interim. So there's no one there who's, I think, prepared to go, yeah, we will do A, B or C, but that's just the way it is. Steve Kelly says, all right, lads, hope you both well. Do you think Everton will accept 4 points back, or do you think they could appeal that decision?
They can't appeal it, can they? They get 4 points back, that's the end of it. There's no appeal in it.
It's not like a normal case, is it? You can't keep taking it.
Whatever this is it, isn't it? So if Everton get 4 points back, that's it. They have to take that. They have to take that on the chin. They've had a chance to argue the facts from that they've learned from the first case, and they take that into the room. In effect, they wouldn't be getting 4 points back. In effect, what would happen is this commission would punish them 6 points rather than 10. They wouldn't say, here's 4 points back for doing a good job. They'd say, no,
your punishment deserves 6 points, not 10 or whatever. That's how they look.
And that's the end of it, which in a way would mean that Everton had failed. If Everton get any kind of punishment, they failed. But then it's not about winning or losing. It's about getting something that they feel's fair. But if it's 6 points, that's the end of it. We can't go any further with it, and hope that whatever they've argued down is we then can take that into the second independent commission and say, well, these are the things we argued and we won them, so therefore none of this really is relevant. So
Stevie says Van der Ven, officially the fastest player recorded in Premier League history.
Is he though?
I mean, he did look like that on Saturday. He looked very quick. His recoveries were unbelievable. Joe Mack says anyone who's happy with 4 points is crazy.
No, but it's that thing, isn't it?
6 would have been a disgrace when the 10 was on.
It's that thing, though, isn't it? This is what they do. This is where it's that thing. It's like when you're driving to a petrol station and the price is £1.50, and then you go back 2 weeks later and it's £1.70, and you go back another week later and it's £1.49, and you're happy with £1.49. It's that thing. It's still far too expensive, but you know how bad it could have been or what it was, and that's sort of where we are. And you do wonder whether that's all part of the process with the Premier League of saying, well, we could have done you 12 points, but actually it's 6 now. So actually we've done you a favour. What are you angry with us for? Come here.
Yeah. M says we won all 10 back. Yeah, absolutely we do.
And a letter of apology to put on the fridge.
Yeah, the fastest this season is the asterisk.
This has just come in.
Go on.
Blue cards are to be introduced to football for sin bins, with players removed from the field for 10 minutes for cynical fouls or dissent. Trial will be announced tomorrow, and trials will start immediately for it. This is interesting.
Yeah. We have
blue card as well.
The blue card,
relevant for Everton.
Yeah, because it's like bad. You're getting sense. You're not sense off.
No, it's but it's like it's basically going. This is what we've done, lads. Is we've done this in blue in your honour.
We're putting that player in limbo.
We're putting your club in limbo, essentially.
Which is what they've done. The Blues says Amadou Onana also not far off Van der Ven in the top speeds this season. It's interesting. I'd like to see him sprint a bit.
It's you least suspect, isn't it?
Yeah. King Hoddle says what a player Van der Ven is. Yeah. You're not biased there, are you? But no, seriously, he is.
But what you got to worry about as a Spurs fan is his leg will drop off eventually, won't it? He'll go full Michael Owen. Let's be honest about it. You're getting 2 years tops out of that.
Of that pace.
And then he goes back to just being like Steve Bruce, essentially. So he better be a good...
Why didn't you use like a Tottenham ref?
No, Steve Bruce is better because he effectively was the slowest player I've ever seen in my life. So you're getting Steve Bruce after a couple of years. Let's be honest about that. And we'll find out if he's actually a good defender. Because really, having pace is just more like a superpower, isn't it? Doesn't really... like if you're a David Weir or a Richard Goff, proof, good defender. Proof, you've got that. You take that with you. Pace is like... But you've had Harry Kane who had no pace, and look at him. Once they've lost the pace, you know you're going to have that for a longer period. And that takes away that fear as well of like, you will lose your pace. So it's probably better sooner rather than later, isn't it?
There you go. Bainey says, saw a quick video from Sky regarding wrong VAR decisions earlier. Thought, we have to be on this. But lo and behold, was surprised that they didn't highlight a single one of our bad decisions. Gonna bin off Sky. Bin them. And Bainey also says, with the takeover, I do hope it's purely because the Prem are making sure it's the right decision. But with everything going on, it wouldn't surprise me if it's just another thing they hold over us. I do think if 777 are that bad, they should be binned by now. Here. The fact it's taking this long does make me suspicious that the master debater is pulling the strings. Well, that's it, isn't it? Get rid of any of these things by making a decision. Jonathan says it wouldn't make sense for 777 not to give Prem everything, as they're still paying for us without being our owners. So it makes no sense why they wouldn't be knocking the Prem door down.
Nothing makes sense.
Absolutely.
But nothing makes sense, does it? Nothing in the world makes sense at the moment.
Jay says, I was at my daughter's swim club the other night in Leicester, and one of the dads said to me, I see you getting another 10 points deducted. You deserve every one of them for what you've spent on players that ultimately cost relegation for Leicester. I told him, right, I'll see you in 18 months when Leicester dare to strengthen in the summer. Forest was saying the same thing last season. Absolute weapons. Well, they're uneducated, mate, is what it is, because all the information's there. Just go and read it. Take you 2 minutes. Don't read the Mathew nonsense. Just read what Everton have spent in the last 5 years on players and what they brought in, and it's nothing. It's why Everton are involved in relegation battles. And Jay also said, is it me or is Ned starting to look like US sitcom legend Alf?
He looks rough today.
Bevian. Told him. You know, you go for the quiz night, Bevy. Not good. Robert Jones on the super chat. Thank you, Robert. Says, don't forget we could always get an even bigger deduction. That will be the most Everton thing ever. I think the thing that happened there, though, is I think Evertonians then would start to disrupt games and things like that, like the way that I think have done. Because there's only so much you can do to fans without the fans responding. If they think we can just keep taking points and Evertonians won't do nothing, they'll see, and other fans will do it. Reading have shown the way now, haven't they? Disrupted their games, got the spotlight on them. People are going, actually, this is terrible what's happening to them. Yeah. The Premier League would be very stupid and naive to believe that that kind of thing wouldn't permeate into the Premier League. But yeah, King Hoddle says, I do worry about his hammies. See, you've put that element of doubt in him now. Bad that.
Once you've got it, won't be long till the player's got it.
James says, Everton player to become the first and only ever player blue carded. Well, that is literally nailed on, isn't it? It's absolutely nailed on.
I'll be honest, I do think that's one that probably will happen before it gets to Everton players. Because if football is bad for anything, it is bad for a lot of those reasons. But hey ho, who knows? Who knows?
You just never know. Joe Mack says, Wolves away, their fans joined in with our protest. Mm. Yeah. Well, they've been had off by VAR this season, haven't they? You know, they really have. But yeah, that's it. Right. That's us done. Give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you all tomorrow. See you later.